What's going on, y'all? It's your boy E2 Blue coming back at you again. Yesterday was Founders Day, represent for my brothers. But anywho, we talked about this team and this defense. I got my little man over here. You probably gonna hear him in the background. um, we talked about Mike Nolan being xed out as the defensive coordinator, and we talked about Jim Tom Sula as well being let go. So now we have to get a new defensive coordinator and a new defensive line coach. Now, you didn't hear much from Jim Tom Sula this year. He didn't really talk much. I think that's just the way he is. He doesn't really like to talk to media because I guess he don't because he said he curses a lot, so he doesn't know what to say. But whatever. Either way, they're both out. So we talked about candidates of to be the next defensive coordinator. Now, I know that the Dallas Cowboys are supposed to be interviewing Joe Whitt today, and if you guys don't know who that is, he was the the DB coach for the Packers under Mike McCarthy from '08, I think for about 9 seasons. So there's a lot of I hate that word. There's a lot of familiarity there. I don't know why I can't say that word. It's really weird. But anyway, they know each other. Put it that way. The only problem that I have with Joe Whitt being hired is that he's never been a defensive coordinator. He's always been an assistant guy, which is a good and a bad thing. And also, too, I think that if he comes in there, he's not going to, warrant his own staff or whatever. So I'm pretty sure that everybody else in that defensive staff is going to stay put because he's just going to do what Mike McCarthy tells him to do. It's not like he's already defensive coordinator in his own mind. That's an option. Now, I think that what they need to do is not sign the good old boys, meaning like just signing guys hiring because it's a job, hiring guys because they're your friend or something like that. I want them to legitimately go out and look for guys, interview guys, go through the process, not just get a guy just because you've been around him. You know what I mean? Because that's what happened with Mike Nolan. You hiring a friend, and Mike Nolan's not even a 4-3 guy. Like we need a defensive coordinator that's going to come in here that is a 4-3 guy, and that's it. Because you look at what we have on this staff, we know that the Joneses like to run a 4-3. We did the 3-4 before, it didn't work well. So keep it the way it is. Stop messing around. So before I go into top candidates, let me talk about some of the defensive stats. Now, I don't normally write notes, but I had to on this because it was a lot of information. All right, so from this year, right, this past season, this is what we're dealing with how bad the defense has done. Okay, so points per game. The defense has allowed 29.6 points per game, which is 28th overall in the league. Total yards per game, 386.4 yards per game. That was 23rd. Passing yards per game, 227.6. That's 11th. Now the defense definitely defense is better against the pass than they do the run. Because if y'all seen in these games, we've been gashed. Although the defense has done well the last 4 games of the season, they were still against lesser teams. So that's why Mike Nolan still had to go. Rushing yards per game, 158.8. 31st in the league. Almost dead last. I don't know who was worse than that. Probably the Jets. Takeaways. Now, they did good in the takeaway department. They had 23 takeaways. They're tied for 7th in the league. Now, you look at all of that. Even under Chris Richard and Rob Marinelli, we were 11th overall. This year, we're like 28th. So, you went back. You don't want to go back. You want to go forward. And for Mike Nolan to come in here to try to just completely change the dynamic of what we were doing in the COVID year probably wasn't a smart thing to do. Now let's talk about these candidates, right? Okay. So I'm going to go with the ones that probably don't make as much sense to the ones that do make sense. So I'm just going to throw this one out here. Jim Lionheart. He's a defensive coordinator for Wisconsin right now. That wouldn't be a good one. I know some people were talking about that, and I'm just going by what I hear people talking about. 3-4. He's a 3-4 guy. That's not going to work here. And he's on a collegiate level, so I don't know if you want that. Don Capers. We talked about that. He's a McCarthy guy. But that's the only reason why I'm bringing him up because he's a McCarthy guy. He worked with McCarthy. He was with I think the Vikings or whatever too. But no, he's 70 years old. He has that old philosophy. You don't want that. You want a younger defensive coordinator under your belt. Um, we talked about Matt Patricia. I don't want Matt Patricia. I think just the clout of him being under the Belichick tree. I think that's the intriguing thing. But I saw what he did with the Lions, and they didn't do too well. So I don't want Matt Patricia either. That's just me personally. Um, Sean Lee. We talk about players turn coaches. Now it'd be a risk to take Sean Lee being a linebacker on the team to just straight being a defensive coordinator. You don't want to do that. Um, if anything, make him a linebackers coach or an assistant guy starting off to build his resume. But Sean Lee on the staff, I'm okay with, but not being a defensive coordinator right off the bat. I'm not okay with that. Gus Bradley, he's the defense. He was a defensive coordinator for the Chargers. Kind of an intriguing pick, but his career as a coach has been up and down as well. But that's an option. If you talk about hiring within, George Edwards, I do like that one. George Edwards does run 4-3. He was the defensive coordinator for the Vikings, and I think that's an option. He's an option. I do like George Edwards. He's already here. Just move him up to the spot. Raheem Morris. Raheem Morris. He was with Tampa Bay. He moved around a bunch of different teams and things of that nature. I know a lot of people were talking about Raheem Morris. I'm not the biggest fan of Raheem Morris, but he's an option as well. He's on that level with George Edwards. Who else we got here? Marvin Lewis. Marvin Lewis. Now, we know that Marvin Lewis interviewed for the defensive coordinator job before. He has ties with this staff, with the Jones family. He's well known with them. He's a former defensive coordinator for the Washington football team and the Ravens, so he has clout there. Marvin Lewis, I know some of you guys wanted him. I wouldn't mind Marvin Lewis either. Wade Phillips. We know that Wade Phillips was here before, but because of that animosity and how he left, I doubt that he'll come back because there's bad blood there. Now we know that he was with the Chargers, he was with the Cowboys, of course, the Texans, the Bengals, and the Rams. So he's been the defense coordinator for all these different teams. I'll see my son acting up.
Go upstairs.
Austin, come here.
No.
You all right? He's at that terrible 2 stage. You know how that goes.
Okay, no, we're not gonna play on the stairs today.
Um,
No.
who else we got here? We got Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn.
Danny said no.
Been with the Falcons for a minute. He's definitely an option. There were, I think Mike Fisher was talking about he could be one of the guys that's interviewing for the position. I do like Dan Quinn as a defensive coordinator, not as a head coach. Because some guys are just good at their coordinator positions, but they're not good at head coaches. Dan Quinn is definitely an option there too.
Come on, clean up grandma's house.
Marvin Lewis. DeMarcus Ware. I put DeMarcus Ware in there only because he what's going on, Austin? Only because he played for the Cowboys, he played for the Broncos. He does do coach type stuff now. And he did a cryptic tweet where he put to the Dallas Cowboys. He added the Dallas Cowboys and he put defensive coordinator question mark. So I don't know. I know some of you guys would like to see DeMarcus Ware to come back to the team to be the defensive coordinator. That's an option too. But because he's never been defensive coordinator, that's kind of like a risk, kind of like Sean Lee. But maybe if you put him on your defensive staff to be right up under a defensive coach, maybe a defensive line coach, I wouldn't mind DeMarcus Ware coming back and being the D-line coach and then getting another coordinator within that. I think that's all I had. See, we talked about Wade Phillips, Marvin Lewis. Okay, so I talked at the beginning of the video about Joe Whitt. Joe Whitt is interviewing today for the Cowboys defense coordinator position. I said that he doesn't have experience as far as being a defensive coordinator, but he's been with Mike McCarthy with the Packers for 9 seasons as a DB coach. But the thing about it is, if you do make him a defensive coordinator, maybe you could bring Dan Quinn in as well, and then you can make some adjustments, and you can have one being a defensive line coach and one being a defensive coordinator. Now, you can maybe get a twofer with that one. Now, that's an option, but we'll see. So let me know what you think. Who are your guys? Who do you want? So some of the names that I brought up, like DeMarcus Ware, Gus Bradley, Dan Quinn, John Leonhardt, Raheem Morris, George Edwards, which is already on the staff, Don Capers, I don't want that one, Matt Patricia, Sean Lee, Wade Phillips, Marvin Lewis. Let me know some of those guys, or if it was a guy I didn't mention, let me know. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of what you would like as a new defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys, and we'll see what happens today and tomorrow. I'll do a video whenever they make a new hire. And if they don't make a hire between today and tomorrow, we can still talk about some options. So with that being said, y'all, it's your boy E2 Blue, always keeping it real. Have a great Sunday.